A returning guest, Darryl Hurs of Indie Week, Screen by Screen, CD Baby, all the very important things that happen in the music industry. Good to have you back.
Thanks, Darryl.
So,
good to be here.
We chatted a little while ago, and some of the things that you told me I found surprising and maybe a little bit shocking, too, in terms of what the potential of some live music looks like in the future. So I want to get some of that. And in terms of the big arena tour, do we think that's something that's happening possibly next year?
Next year, it might be a stretch. Wow, that's a loaded question. There's so much to answer with it. In the sense of like international touring, it still remains to be seen on what it's going to take to be able to bring a crew and everybody across a border, and whether it's quarantining and all that kind of stuff is still a thing. National, so maybe say like within your own borders of your country might be a little bit easier. It's hard to say.
Do you think that regional music and touring will be something that's a lot more accessible than the traditional tours coming through your sports arenas?
Absolutely. It's good for everything to come back. It's going to be I believe it's going to be a focus on local first and build up national and then international. We still don't know if fans are going to come back, like they're going to be confident to come back. So some of the talks that I've heard this week on Clubhouse has been saying that, one of the big question marks is, will fans fill the arenas because they're confident and such. And things have changed, and we haven't done a survey in a while, but when we did our first few surveys, about 60% of the people said that they would wait 6 months after things are safe to know it's safe
to start really engaging again in public events. Now, it's not just music though. This goes for so many things. I think it applies to sports, to festivals, to conferences. You run Indie Week as a conference. What do you think about having people come? Because people come from all over the world to come and participate in those things.
Well, for us, we've taken the stance that we're online. We're not even considering in-person events at this time. I'm in talks with basically all the festivals across Canada. Like there's a group of us online chatting and sharing knowledge. And, a lot of them, and I feel for them, are working with, it might be this or it might be that. And it might be
hypotheticals, yeah.
And we might have to change the dates or push it, right? And to me, that's just a lot of work and a lot of stress that really affects mental health. When you're working on a project and you can't be confident.
The uncertainty, yeah. That's an anxiety driver for sure.
Yeah, and people don't know, like one of the conversations I had with another person who has put on big events in the States is just that people don't realize how much work goes into organizing multiple people, multiple locations. Oh, it is so much of an undertaking. And with us embracing online, we've actually, instead of hosting one conference, we've already hosted 2, and we've got another one coming up. So we're almost hosting a conference every quarter online. And it's allowed us to have a bigger reach internationally, nationally, with people who wouldn't be able to be in Toronto for a live in-person event. So we're actually finding, it's kind of a first one was let's see what happens, and the results were great. And so we're really just running with it.
So you think that this could be the platform for Indie Week moving forward? Other festivals and conferences and stuff like that, whether, music or film festival, do you think that that's going to be the norm for a lot of people?
Yeah, definitely. Like basically, whether it's hybrid, meaning some in person, some online, it's definitely here to stay. We're able to have access to so many more speakers at a higher level because we're just saying, can you spend an hour of your time online with us, as opposed to when can you fly here? How many days can you stay? Like it's much easier to get them on board when it's just an hour of their time. And it makes it for more interesting conversations because we're able to pull in people from all territories of the world to contribute to the conversation. So it's actually a lot more interesting too.
Do you think that you're going to end up getting bigger keynote speakers because of the ease of participation?
Absolutely, we already are.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like we just had at Screen by Screen, we had the global head of music for Roblox, and I believe Roblox a week or two ago just announced that they're like worth $45 billion evaluation or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even 145. I can't remember the number, but
it's
it
big.
was insane. Yeah, it's big. So yes, absolutely. And all the speakers that are participating know that it's marketing for them because there's an audience online, but it's recorded, which means people can watch it over and over and over again.
Well, that's the thing, which you could never do with session from a conference or something. Usually it's like, well, you're in the room, hope you take good notes, and you can share that with your teams once you get back to your operation or whatever. But now it's like, if you find something that's great, you can instantly share it with your team. Here, listen to what so-and-so had to say on this subject. And you've got the content right there to back it up, which I think is really cool, because there's so many things that are talked about at these conferences that end up becoming reality in the 2 to 5 years that follow, especially with tech.
Yeah, and in the past, we've always had people pitch us, oh, we'll do video for your conference, but the price tag was thousands and thousands of dollars. They need to have a film crew, the equipment, editing after the fact, and now we're just on Zoom. We hit record, and that's it. That's our video recording capabilities, and it's working. So, like I said, we're really embracing where we're at right now. We're gaining what I feel really good momentum online. A lot of people are talking about us. More people are reaching out to us, and especially internationally, more people are reaching out to us. We're right now in talks with partnerships with festivals in 3 different territories of the world. It's going to be interesting. Like we'll be able to present content for them. They present content for us, and it just opens our market even much wider.
The ability to be fluid and to navigate the changes, I think, is the most important thing. And, everything that you've talked about and you guys have done is a great example of that. When it comes to the big, we mentioned the big arena tours. We talked about this a little bit before. What do you think? You had some interesting ideas as to what this looks like in the coming years. So let's talk about some of that. You don't think it's going, okay, let's take, who's the biggest band in the world right now? Foo Fighters? Maybe Foo Fighters. They got a new record. Let's use Foo Fighters as an example, okay?
Yeah, and I would throw possibly BTS out there too.
Okay, yeah, sure. I just usually deal in the rock world more, but you're right. BTS is massive. The new record is out. They would typically go out and do a big world tour behind it. Things are still locked down now, but let's kind of look ahead towards the end of the year where most of the population is going to be vaccinated. Is that going to be, we're in the clear, we're back to normal?
No, I don't think so.
Some people think it's going that way. Like
a lot of people,
are hoping.
There's about 3 or 4 different groups, right?
Yeah.
And like sitting in on Clubhouse sessions, you can kind of see this group, right? And they're all very passionate in what they believe. And granted so, and all power to everybody, right? So look at it this way. We think of audiences, like who would attend. And past few years, like looking at Polestar numbers, in the top 10 grossing tours of the years have mostly been classic acts. Think of like Eagles, AC/DC,
Elton John.
Mac, Elton John, U2's in there, Bruce Springsteen is in there. And there's only like 2 new-ish acts that are in that top 10. And it changes year to year, like Ed Sheeran would be in, or Bruno Mars. If Adele is doing anything, but is she really new anymore? So the artists who are making big money aren't new artists.
No, and they don't have new music though. And but Elton John, you can spend $450 on a ticket to a show like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's the kind of thing go, okay, well, who's their audience versus the new ones, right? And so on Clubhouse, I hear people like, nothing beats live music. This online stuff is garbage. There's no interaction. There's no engagement. There's like, you're just looking at a screen. It has to be live. Like, they're so ingrained. It has to be live. I get it. Right. But then there's also the ones who are in the middle level, say an artist who can't sell out an arena, but they're also definitely not a venue. They're like the music halls,
the theater size. Yeah.
Yeah, like say 5,000 to 16,000 or 10,000. Like they do really well. And before this all stopped, those were the artists who were on tour selling out all, like Danforth Music Hall, all the time and doing really well. They might have a hard time with it.
See,
right?
For me, that's the type of show that I like most is, I mean, the perfect is big band, small venue. Those are special things that only happen once in a while. And then there's club shows with, your kind of local and independent bands. There's the theater shows with those mid-level artists. And then you have the big arena tours. Those theater shows, I think for me and a lot of music fans, are the ones that they look forward to the most.
Right. But if we look at, we're breaking down the show. Now, let's say when we come back, the thing is it's going to be limited capacities. So now that 2,000 is 800.
Yeah, or 500. And there's a lot of empty space, which changes the vibe of a show in a big way.
Right, which doesn't sustain the financials of a tour for those artists. So that's the artist that's going to be hit the hardest. And then the others is the small venue size, local. Well, they're already local. Instead of 100 people, it's 20 people. They're still going to play those shows.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And they don't have the financial burden of touring and stuff. So there's those three kind of levels. There's actually a couple others that we don't need to go into, but the audiences are different, right?
Sure.
For each of these as well.
Yeah.
Now, online. So now there's like talks, and I've even been hit with a couple conversations the other day, like, how do you structure any of these shows? Right. So you're at limited capacity. So how do you increase it? You go online and you sell tickets to stream. Right. So now you can sell endless. Now your venue capacities, however many you want to buy tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So more venue owners are now probably thinking, I better get rigged up to be able to do live streaming. Now that changes the structure of a contract. So when you're booking a show, is there live streaming? Okay, well, what's the potential of ticket sales online? I need a guarantee that includes that. So as a local promoter trying to put on a show and book an artist through an agent, they now have to offer up a guarantee that's bigger than what the venue is. And they don't know how many they're going to sell. It's a big question mark.
Right.
Right. So now the guarantees are changing for putting on a show. So it'll be interesting to see which local promoters can or cannot facilitate those.
It maybe the Michael the Dragon Weckerly. I mean, he was onto something with the Elmo Combo because it was set up. It was equipped for this before the pandemic.
Yeah, he's all over this stuff. Like I've seen his name pop up in a few things going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Like Elmo Combo was going to be the charge in this, like before this happened. So they would have been ahead of the curve. Like they would have been trailblazers in this, and they will be, like I've toured the Elmo Combo and it is an amazing setup. Like what they've done there is,
I've heard the tech in that place is just mind blowing. Yeah.
I was just about to use the words mind blowing. They even have their own power plant. So if the whole city loses power, they are okay. There won't even be a blip in anything. Yeah, downstairs in the basement, they showed me they've got a power plant.
Wow.
Yeah, it is, and it is structured to be able to host large acts. It's amazing. There's like top secret stuff, and it's everyone's sort of joking like it's taken so long to get to this stage. Well, there's a reason. And it's pretty amazing. So
now, is this just going to be like a hobby thing for him, or is he ever going to get the money back out of this? I can't see him, like, with everything that's been put into it, and from what you're telling me, and having its own power plant. I mean, you got to go a long way to get some return on this investment, I would think.
I think I don't think it'll be much for him to, if things can start happening that they can have shows. I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, maybe if it's one of the locations that is operational, out of the gates at first with stuff like this, and you can get some big acts in there, it could be a massive thing for sure.
Yeah, and I'd equate it to like the Drake Hotel in Toronto. I used to live by the Drake before it was open, and I remember like it was in construction for a few years, and I remember them saying, "Oh, it's opening." No, it's not. Another year of construction and all that stuff, and they opened and massively successful. Now there's a like Drake Hotel in Prince Edward County. There's Drake stores. Like he's pretty much bought all the real estate on the whole block. Like, yeah. So I see like what's going to happen with the Elmo Combo if and when things get back to where we can have shows. I think they're going to be great. What people have to think about is, how much money does a company put into a 30-second commercial? Well, a live stream performance could be a 60-minute commercial that's
for the band.
International,
right?
And recorded and rebroadcast, possibly ends up on Netflix. The money potential is absolutely huge in this.
Yeah. So big, massive shows. Like let's think of, say like a Muse or a Foo Fighters or something like that. Like Muse, if they're not traveling internationally, maybe it's Muse live at the O2 Arena, and you can watch from the comfort of your couch for the small fee of, $150, because pay-per-views kind of get crazy like that, right?
Yeah, but I think we have to expand our visions of this, right? So if you watched the Grammy Awards, it was a really good production of multiple artists performing, but also multiple sets, right? Mm-hmm. And the visuals were really like we have to almost think of we're outside the venue. It's like the venue is what we dream of. And so the settings could be changed per song. Like the whole background could be a video. It could be really immersive. And I think that's the thing to think about is we're now outside of the box, right? Now anything can happen. And so we're at a stage where almost everything is viable as long as there's an audience for it. So if there's the indie artist in their living room doing a live stream and 100 people show up and pay a $10 price, that's viable, right? Mm-hmm. So it scales, and now if you're Muse and it's like holograms and VR and
they've always been very
reality,
technically advanced in their show production to begin with. So I would imagine, it'll be interesting to see if these things start to roll out what, an artist that's already been ahead of the game starts to do in these conditions.
Well, this is the thing. Now you can be as creative as you want because it's anything. And we've got shows that are taking place in games. There's
you've
the
talked
Metaverse.
About this before, the Fortnite shows, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, and there's so another buzzword that's going on right now is the Metaverse. And it's like this online universe and you've avatars, but it's kind of a layer above the games, right? And I'm trying to wrap my head around it a bit too. There's so much that in North America and Canada that we don't really know what's happening, in the sense that if we look at Asia, they're kind of always ahead of the game. And,
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was on a call the other day with a group of industry. It's kind of like an invite to talk with industry heads and what's happening and stuff. And there's a group over there that has a hologram member, right? So and it's all AI and permanent member. It's not a thing, like it's actual hologram.
Yeah.
And there's now talks of things like other buzzwords is like virtual influencers. So, we've had the person on Instagram that gets 1 million people and they post and they get paid for that post. Well, now there's a person with an avatar online that has a lot of people following, and they're now getting paid to talk about stuff or point to stuff, right? And so yeah, like I would say really look at what Asia's doing, because it's really, really interesting. Tech is a bit scary all the time, and I think we
It
have
really is. Yeah.
hesitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have hesitation to it because of that. But the one thing that the past has told me is it's happening whether I am part of it or not. And so the hesitation often means you're going to be behind when it becomes normalized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like
So
get on board or get run over. That's kind of the way of the world, right? And this is no different.
yeah, like I like cassettes. I want to play cassettes. Oh man, like who's making them?
Well, that's funny because
You know?
I just bought a cassette player like a month ago because
I need to, because I found all my cassettes and I'm like, I need to digitize them, right?
that's exactly what I did it for. Is it old? Like I have a box of cassettes that survived, and they're mostly like DJ mixtapes. So it's not just like, oh, I want to record my copy of Blood Sugar Sex Magic from cassette. It's like, no, they're
Right.
they're mixtapes, and like those are eventually the tape will disintegrate. So might as well turn them digital.
Exactly. Now, I was saying that there's all these different groups. So now there's this other group, and it's kids that have never been to a concert.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was on some of those Clubhouse chats, and people are like, nothing beats live experience. Well, here's a whole new generation coming up who has not experienced a live show ever,
Yep.
except for they've already experienced a concert on Fortnite.
Yeah.
Or on a game or online. And we all have this sort of like our first concert memory that we all get attached to. Like, wow, that was amazing.
Yes.
So for these kids, that's amazing. And it's only going to get better as technology goes on these games and platforms and things like that. So really, that's the future, is what do these kids want in 5 years when they're older? And I did a test. I probably said it the last time. I gave each of the kids like a $50 gift certificate for Fortnite on like for Christmas. It was gone in 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes. And you know, one bought a backpack for their avatar, another one bought a Jeep for online in the game, another one bought stuff for their house on the game. And that's the powerful part, harnessing it for music. Okay, let's sell a t-shirt for the avatar. Let's sell a baseball hat for the avatar, right? And so if you have a concert like Lil Nas X, who has 35 million people tune in, and you sell a little t-shirt avatar for their avatars for $1, well,
that's insane. Yeah.
The metrics could be just ridiculous, right?
And what is the overhead on that? Like nothing.
No, there's definitely huge overhead on that one.
Well, no, if you're already established to be like, okay, we're going to throw in a t-shirt here, like that's just a bit of code and an option.
There's
I'm too basic.
Financials behind it and all that kind of stuff, right? But we have to think in that manner, and it's volume, right? Like now it's like I could be performing at that 100 cap room, the 2,000 cap room, 16,000, 20,000 cap room, or I could be global online for millions.
So do venues need to start becoming large scale production houses then, or is that something that gets contracted out? Tours with the band.
But the other thing too is that's an also still valid ecosystem, even if they're just, you know, filling the cap that's allowed, but hopefully it gets back to normal.
Yeah.
I really do believe when shows start happening, they're going to be packed. I think people are wanting live music, and that's why the local will thrive. Like the 200 cap up to 200 cap rooms, I believe they're going to be full, because people want it, and it's easier to bring 200 people than 16,000.
Yes.
And again, economics, it's like who can tour, who can afford to tour, right? Like there's so many question marks. But what I do know is online is happening regardless. There's no question marks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just figure it out. And there's so many platforms now, so many platforms that allows anybody to do it. I know of a gaming system that is working on opening it up that anybody can just go, like, basically it's an online world, and within it they're building venues, and you could say, on this date I want to use that venue for our artist.
No, sorry, it's booked.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing, right? And that gaming platform has like over 10 million users monthly. So it, again, you go, the exposure of an artist to potentially 10 million people,
Who
or
wouldn't want that? Yeah.
who wouldn't want that, right?
Artists
So,
would pay for that. That's the thing. I don't want to put that out there as a thought, because that's a slippery slope. But I think if you have the ability to reach that many people, I mean, that's very, very, that's what every artist wants, is the big audience.
yeah,
The big
but this
exposure.
is the beauty of it, is everything is viable now. Whatever you think of, it could work, and it's like, you don't have to go, oh man, if I do this, I need to make sure I can bring 200 people to the venue. Just bring 200 people from somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Can you get one person in Italy, 10 in Spain, 5 in UK, 10 in Germany, 20 in Brazil? Like, it all just depends on finding your audience and delivering what they want. And so for some audiences, they want the stripped down acoustic version. Other audiences want the full blown visuals and immersive tech. And again, I do really highly recommend people take a look at Asia. And, in fact, we're talking, I don't know when this is coming out, but like next Tuesday on our Indie Weekly, we're talking with Gig Life Pro, which is a company and organization in like the Asia Pacific region that hosts talks on these kinds of things. And it's interesting. Like, I'm just blown away, because now, artists can actually be as creative as they want. Like, hey, what if it would mean that, like, while we're playing our first song, we've got a black and white moody background, and then when we go into the second, it's like multicolor spectrum. Yeah, sure, we could do that. Like, it's insane. And like, what if we in the third song look like robots? Yeah, sure. So this is the thing, is actually, if anything, artists should be thinking, I can be as creative as I want during this. And
Right.
I think that's the exciting part, because then the fans are getting nothing they've ever seen before, right? And so going back to thinking, if we watched the Grammys, how they would have multi bands sort of set up and play here, play there, but the sets were all different. So truthfully, that could be one band putting on a show, but each set and each song is potentially
its
different.
own thing. Yeah. Now, what about the idea of like virtual reality coming into this? Because if you have a VR headset, it can feel very much like you're actually at a concert.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
That's for sure coming. And also, I know technology is in the works where you don't need the headset as much.
Oh, glasses?
Well, just the presentation of it, the quality gets better and stuff. And then as well, there's which I haven't looked into. I need to find some time, but Microsoft just released, or has been talking about Mesh, I believe it's called, and it's all holographic. And the reports are like, you actually feel like you're there and all that kind of stuff. So this is the thing, is if it does turn to VR, what's the venue, right? And you literally could be like in your location, put a headset on, I'm in mine, and at the concert, we could be standing next to each other.
That's kind of amazing,
Right. So that in-person experience is an in-person experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It turns into that. And some people will resist it for sure, and that is normal. I remember being a musician, and when drum machines came out, no, don't not going to do it.
Yeah, it's
And I
putting
remember
drummers out of work. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I remember Autotune came out. No way, not every song is Autotune. Every performance is Autotune now.
You know what?
You know,
You know what really broke my heart with Autotune was when I started to hear reggae use it. You know what I mean? Because reggae always had like these, you know, especially on the dance hall side. And then I remember someone playing me some modern stuff a few years ago, and it was auto-tuned, and I was just like, oh.
yeah.
But
No,
you're right.
I hear you.
It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, well, the other part too is like there's even songs like there's a song by a young group where they took Smashing Pumpkins 1979 music, like literally exactly. And like, I guess they called up Billy Corgan and said, can we use your music? We're just going to write new lyrics over it. So literally the song is 1979, just with different lyrics.
Different lyrics. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, back in my day, that would have been like,
how dare you?
We had,
What
like,
are you?
do not touch that song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, it's a thing now. Right. So we're now into like samples, and that's a normal thing. Again, back in my day, it was like, you better write your own music and you better perform your own music, and you better be able to perform it. Like, let's see you do it live.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't exist anymore. So it's really about, I think, what's the entertainment value that you can offer, and what you're offering matching the market you want to reach. And again, that could be playing acoustic in your kitchen, and if it reaches the audience and they're entertained, you're successful. But that ranges all the way up the spectrum now. And again, with it opening up the doors to absolutely anything, you could be as creative as you want, you know. Like one of the things, thinking rock side, like I think Metallica, like they did the drive-in concert last year where they played a show, recorded it, and then they beamed it to multiple drive-ins.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them playing one, and it's like all these war scenes around them, and that would be like so intense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think we can really heighten the experience for a lot of these performances.
I remember going to see Nine Inch Nails in, I think it was like 2005, and the production value at a, like, especially when they're in the arenas and not festivals, is pretty high. Like going to see a Tool show or something, right? Like it's a visual experience as well. And one of the things that happened at that Nine Inch Nails show is there was a big screen that went down over the front of the stage, and they were projecting. You could see through it. You could see the band, but they're projecting stuff onto the screen. And Trent comes out and looks like with the microphone stand that he hits it, and it's all glass that breaks and it falls, and then the song starts, right? When you're dealing with tech in virtual reality and all those things, you can take all of that stuff to the 10th degree, you know, because there are no boundaries. There's, you know, like you said, if you can think it, you could probably create it now.
Yeah. And as technology keeps moving forward, you probably create it like faster.
Yeah.
You know,
bigger.
back in
Yep.
the day, it's so much in the programming side, the video editing side, where now, like, you know, AI is coming on board, and that's a little scary, but it might be very quick to be able to produce these things.
Yeah.
In 5-10 years from now, you know. But yeah, it's something to be aware of, be a part of, or there might not be as much places for it. But I still think everything's going to be valid.
Should music fans be excited about the potential of what the future brings, or mourning the death of traditional concerts?
I think that there's going to be everything. You know, I think there will be traditional concerts. I think there'll be shows at local venues, and there'll be the online stuff. So it's again, there's a market now for anything and everybody. You know, and it's just connecting the dots. You know,
I guess whatever generates the most engagement and dollars will be the surviving, you know, medium, whatever that might be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, again, it's you know, what's working for you is as an artist, you know, and I know some artists are going to resist technology, but if they have an audience, that's fine. you know. There's always been like the Grateful Deads and things like that tour all the time, and you don't hear much about them in the commercial world.
But to their fans, they're the most important thing in the world. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so that, I think that's really the thing, is going, as an artist, who are you? Who's your audience? And just connecting. And I think the exciting part is now it opens the doors for the people that want to extend it to new boundaries. And then there's that place for, you know what, we're at the pub every week, we're at the live music venue, we're touring. Like there's validity for everything. You know, the part that is a bit of the unknown is how is the business going to go?
The monetizing, how did the artist get paid and not get?
Yeah, but it's also, how does the promoters get paid, because that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And if there's certain types of shows where they go, I could make more this way with less work, make less money this way, more work.
You know what's going to win. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing, and it's that's the part where we don't have an opinion in. They're just going to do what's best for them making money.
Yeah, and we'll just have to sit back and see how it kind of unfolds.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, super interesting conversation. I know that you're a busy guy and you've got other things to get off to in the next couple minutes here, but man, really looking forward to more of the virtual indie weeks and all of this stuff that we just talked about. Seeing how it plays out over the next couple of years is going to be a fascinating experiment, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And if there's a chance to do a follow-up talk another time, we didn't even touch on it, but NFTs is like the next crazy thing that's happening right now.
Okay. And what is NFT?
Non-fungible token. And the comparison is like hockey cards. So like when I was young,
you told me about this. This is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was young, like I was an Oilers fan. I actually had 3 Wayne Gretzky cards. If I had them now, I could be like a multimillionaire. But it's like that. People are creating collections of art, digital art, putting them up for sale. And that type of sale is an auction. The value is determined by how much people bid on it. And there's these digital art collectors that have tons of money, and they'll go 10,000 on that. And someone else will see it and go 30,000 on that.
I want to know who these people are. I'm fascinated by who those people are, that I'm going to buy this digital piece of art that someone made in Photoshop for 30, 40, 50, 100 grand, $1 million. There's that guy, you showed me the article, the guy in Thunder Bay, he got like $4.5 million for a piece of digital art doing this.
Yeah. And it's crazy, but think of like a collection, right? And, I can't never remember his name. The YouTube star, last name is Paul. Is it Logan Paul?
Oh yeah. Very controversial.
Yeah, but he put up a collection of cards, kind of like tailored to, like, say, think of Pokemon, right? Mm-hmm. And a Pokemon, the attraction is you're walking around and trying to capture all these characters, but there's rare ones, and It's like, man, if I could find that, and so it's kind of like that. And so he put out a collection of cards, digital art or whatever, NFTs, and they all sold. So also think on a perspective, like basically he made $5 million in like a day or two. If you put out a collection of, say, 3,000 items, and so let's say if I was going to do digital art that was pizza, or let's just say food, and I put 20 pizzas, 10 sushis, 5 steaks, 1 lobster, that lobster icon is probably going to be rare and bid upon the most because it's the only one.
I saw out of season lobster tails for like $80 last week. So you're onto something.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
So basically the thing is, then if you put up, say, 3,000 items, and it's broken down into subsets and categories kind of thing, but if you sell all of them, even for $10, that's 30 grand.
Yeah. And digital items, like it could be a video clip, like you're talking about stuff like that.
Right. But just think, if you put up 3,000 items and they all sell for 10,000 each.
I can't imagine that, actually, Darryl.
So that's kind of what Logan Paul did. I can't remember the number of items, but they all sold, for a significant kind of amount. And like he made like I think 4 or 5 million in like a day.
I think it's if you build up the following and the audience, you can pull stuff off like this, and that's really what it's about is building up the audience.
Well, yeah. And I've got to run, but I got to say all this talk, everything, it's really about community.
Yes.
And I've always said people add value. You got to have people, right? Because that's where it comes from. And that's it. So part of the NFTs is there's a community online. And that's why it's kind of like us and them. Like if we're not part of the community talking about it, we're not part of it.
Yeah.
But the community talking about it is like art collector type people, like I used to know a guy who had like really crazy tribal art collections.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, oh, you've got that mask from that African tribe, oh my God, that's like $2 million. So it means something to them.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, I don't know this tribe or nothing. So,
cool mask, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Awesome.
Dude, thanks so much. What a bunch of interesting stuff to think about.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I love these talks. And I look forward to them all the time.
All right. We'll catch you at for Screen by Screen Indie Week, indieweek.com. All the info's there for anybody who might be interested in checking that out.
Yeah, indieweek.com is the hub. Indie 101 is our next conference, April 20th to 24th. Indie Week is in November, probably the second week of November. We're still figuring out the dates. And then Screen by Screen will happen again February next year.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Darryl.